Adam Back says he is not Satoshi, and Paris made clear the real fight is over regulation, payments, and where crypto innovation will stay. The pressure point is simple. Adam Back pushed back on the Satoshi theory, while Europe debated rules and stablecoin scale. Longitude recap: Adam is the search phrase, but the useful issue is who gains, who loses, and which rule or right changes in practice. That is why the practical rule change matters more than the political slogan around it. At the Longitude event in Paris, Blockstream CEO Adam Back said renewed claims that he created Bitcoin are flattering but wrong, and linked the theory to how active he was on early cryptography mailing lists. What makes this useful is that the event tied old crypto mysteries to the much more practical question of which jurisdictions can still build fast. This puts a real procedural marker on the story instead of leaving it at rhetoric. Executives on stage said MiCA has helped legitimize crypto in Europe, yet they also warned that heavy compliance costs could push startups and entrepreneurial talent into friendlier jurisdictions. In plain English, regulatory clarity helps only if the cost of meeting the rules does not choke the product before it reaches users. Once the formal structure appears, the winners and losers become easier to identify. For people typing Longitude recap Adam, the next useful step is to separate what is already operating from what is only being promised. Panels on stablecoins stressed that the market has grown sharply, but that last-mile conversion into local financial systems remains one of the biggest obstacles to real payment adoption. That is the step that turns a debate into operational consequences. The mechanism behind the whole event was policy translation. Europe now has a formal framework, but formal rules do not automatically create better products, cheaper payments, or faster institutional adoption if compliance becomes too heavy. For people searching KW, the broader takeaway is that the next crypto competition is about payments, compliance burden, and last-mile access, not mythology. The legal mechanism matters because markets adapt to rules long before they adapt to narratives. For crypto viewers, that means the most important debate is shifting. It is no longer just whether regulation exists. It is whether regulation builds trust without draining the speed and experimentation that made crypto competitive in the first place. Stablecoins can look mature at the top line while still failing at the local banking and payments layer that ordinary users need. This is where affected users, platforms, or investors start calculating real compliance or access costs. What remains uncertain is how fast Europe can convert legal clarity into market share, and whether the United States will pass its own structure bills quickly enough to pull projects and capital in the other direction. Watch stablecoin payment rails, watch how MiCA-era firms report costs and expansion plans, and watch whether the next major adoption stories happen where rules are clear or where they are simply lighter. The open question is not cosmetic. It decides how much room the market actually has. That leaves Longitude recap Adam hanging on the next formal step, because speeches and posts matter less than enforceable rules or court filings. The next phase of crypto growth will be decided less by mythology and more by which jurisdictions can combine clarity, speed, and usable payment rails without smothering builders. The next official move matters more than another round of commentary.